But anyway, it was about this strange initiative, in my view, by the Labour government, by Health Secretary Wes Streeting, to sort of mass medicate millions of people who are unemployed, or hundreds of thousands, probably millions, who he seems to think that the reason they're unemployed is they're fat. So give them a fat jab, Ozempic or Wegovy or whatever the British equivalent is. They lose a bit of weight, and according to Wes, they'll go back to work. It doesn't really follow, does it?
No, all they're going to have, if they've got fat unemployed people, they'll end up with skinny unemployed people. That's about it, as far as I can see. Yeah. And in the meantime, we would have spent a fortune, and we would have risked their health with the numerous side effects that we know about, and there are many that we won't know about yet because we have no long-term data on this.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So there might be side effects we don't know about.
Of course there will be.
But why are they giving it to millions of people?
Well, I mean, Wes has clearly drunk the drug company's Kool-Aid, hasn't he? Because, you know, he's just parroting everything that they say. So all of the lines that they're trying to use to bat off the side effects. So to give you some examples, 1 in 100 people who take this will get pancreatitis. Pancreatitis is very unpleasant. You can die of it, although nowadays we generally save people.
Yeah.
But what you do get after it is an increased risk for about 3 years for pancreatic cancer. That will kill you. Guaranteed. The mice that took this at these doses, because diabetic people take this, but it's at a much lower dose. It's not this dose. The mice that they used in their trials got thyroid cancer. So they're being a bit, please don't take this if you've got thyroid problems. We know it crosses the blood-brain barrier. We know it decreases your appetite. Some people, when they stop, do not get it back. We know now today from the new fantastic study that's out that it's going to help alcoholics, because you lose your desire for alcohol. You do. You lose your desire for everything.
Can I get some?
But you lose your desire for everything, Colin. Kevin, I keep calling you Colin.
That's her boyfriend, Colin.
This is terrible. You know, this is doing things. People are getting depressed because it's going into the brain. This is an experiment, Kevin, now, and I did some.
It's an experiment on live people.
On live people, just like the COVID vaccine.
I didn't realise this.
Yeah, just like the COVID vaccine.
Next time we have a date night, cancel it. Come on the show.
But the thing about this is that they do trials in tiny numbers. Only when you roll it out into thousands and hundreds of thousands of people do you truly see the downsides.
And one thing I do know about it, and this is going to be the problem, or one of the many problems, is this. You can dose yourself up, start taking these jabs. Now, the cost, the NHS has already said it's prohibitive and they won't be able to handle it. But the cost, as I understand it, is two to 300 quid.
250 a month.
250 quid a month. Now, was it a week? That's a month? It's a month, yeah. Yeah, OK. So 250 quid a month to hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people. The NHS can't afford that.
Well, I did some sums.
Yeah.
60% of people are obese or overweight. There are 40 million adults in the UK. They are talking about giving it to children, by the way. If you give it to every one of those adults, they won't, but if they did at the current price, and the price will go down, 6 billion quid a month.
There you go. It's prohibitive. And the other thing that I do know is, I don't know much, but I know this. You take the government can't say, you're fat and you're unemployed, and therefore we're going to give you... is it Wegovy? Is that the English?
There's lots now.
We don't do Ozempic here, do we?
No, so there's Wegovy that's licensed, but there's a new one now from Eli Lilly, which is called something like Mounjaro.
Yeah, I've seen that one. OK, so for the sake of argument, we're going to give you Wegovy so that you lose weight and then you go back to work. But now, one thing that the government will not be doing is saying, we're going to give you Wegovy for the rest of your life. So once you've lost the weight, the government will stop giving you the Wegovy, and then you'll pile it straight back on.
Straight back on.
Straight back on.
This is a drug that you're going to need for life.
Yeah.
So the side effects are for life. And most people get really sick. They get diarrhoea to the point where they're pooping themselves. This is not a pleasant drug.
It's unbelievable. And also, the last point, before we move on to another story that you've alerted to me, which defies belief. You're going to like this one, folks, trust me. The last point to make is I don't quite get the correlation. It's like, seems to me that Wes Streeting, and the government by extension, are just sort of feeling sort of falling for a stereotype that if you're fat, you're lazy. So fat fat, lazy people don't go to work. Well, you know, I know a fair few fat people who are seriously not lazy. They are hard-working. It's nonsense to say that obesity is a massive cause of unemployment. I'm sure in some extreme cases it does preclude people being able to go to work, but it's nonsense to say fat people don't work and if they lose a few pounds they will work.
But they've just listened to the drug company's presentation, which is, this is how many people are off with bad hips and bad knees. Being fat causes bad hips and bad knees. So these are the people that if you make them skinny with our jab, they'll go back to work. They've just bought the sales pitch. And you know what? These drug companies don't care about the side effects because they're going to make so much money. No compensatory claims will ever make even a dent in their profit.
It's unbelievable. And also it is already, you know, the whole fat jab syndrome has engendered this kind of dependence mentality.
Yeah.
I've seen so many people on the TV being interviewed, you know, how am I supposed to lose weight if they don't give me a fat jab? Oh, gee, I don't know, maybe eat less, maybe take some exercise, that kind of thing, you know what I mean?
You know, the solution is free. The solution is free.
Yeah.
It's change your diet, don't eat processed food, don't eat so much and move a bit more.
It's pretty easy. And I think these people, they kind of think, oh, if I take the fat jab, I can eat all the burgers I like. And that's another thing that I think anybody considering this, I mean, I don't need it, he boasted. I haven't put any weight since I was about 16.
Me neither.
Yeah, I know, you hate us both.
Yes, but it's because
that's the way it is. But it's not like that. But what I hate the idea of, I would hate to take a drug that take away my appetite. I like eating food.
Or
it's
your
one of the
desire
joys of
for
life.
wine, or your desire for wine. These things are important.
My unhealthy desire for
I've seen
wine.
it. It is, but hey. But you know what, Kevin? I think also what's not helpful is that I know that it isn't easy to lose weight. Nobody says it's easy.
Yeah.
But this is not the answer.
And by the way, I'm not trying to in any way make light of people who do. I know it's extremely upsetting for lots of people, and lots of people try very, very hard to lose weight, and for love nor money they can't. It is one of those things, and so we're not trying to sort of say, oh, you know, you fatsos, you get out there, take some exercise. No, it's a really distressing situation for so many people. But as you're suggesting, yeah, it's like everything. There's no such thing as a free lunch. There's no such thing as easy solutions, and that's what worries me.
Yeah.
Well, that's moving on.
Lighten the load now, shall we?
Well, they're not really. This is something you sent me, that doctors in the future will be expected to consider the climate change impact of inhalers. Yeah. So in other words, if you're asthmatic or you need an inhaler, now inhalers, I think if you chuck them away, they're not very environmentally...
They're a canister, aren't they?
Yeah, they're not very environmentally friendly. But it is being suggested to doctors that they should prioritise the climate and the environment over the health of their patients. So a guy comes in or a woman comes in, I can barely breathe. Well, I'm sorry, I can't help you because I would have to give you an inhaler. I'm sorry, it would be bad for the climate change emergency. I mean, am I missing something here, or is that dystopian nonsense?
I mean, when I told this story to Colin, who is also a doctor, he thought I was joking. He thought it was a joke. I mean, the fact that you would try and get your patients to ration, and that's what the suggestion is, how often they use their medications for this kind of thing is lunacy. But it goes even further than that. This is a conglomerate of 22 medical schools who are caring about the environment, and they're going to influence the curriculum. And what they're saying is that it's a doctor's role to educate patients on the environment and encourage patients to do things like plant trees.
That's not a doctor's job. And any doctor wants to prescribe planting trees to me, I know where I'm going to plant the tree, straight up their backside. I mean, come on. Come on. But what about patient welfare?
Well,
that's their job.
But
you can't prioritise the climate over whether or not somebody can breathe in front of you.
Of course we can't, and we're losing sight of that in everything now. That I hate to think what new medical students are learning at medical school now, whether they could pick up something urgent as opposed to caring that they've ticked all their blooming diversity boxes on, you know, whether or not they've told 6 patients this week to plant a tree, whether they've actually cut down their inhaler use by half, their prescribing, you know, and whether or not, I don't know, they've identified 42 non-binary patients to refer to podiatry. That is not what medicine is about.
So I'm just laughing at the idea of saying, did you go to the doctors about your bad stomach? Yeah, I did. Any good? Yeah, you gave me a prescription. What was it? He prescribed that I plant trees. You know, I mean, this is the insanity that is beginning to prevail in this world. Where is the common sense in telling doctors that they should prioritise the climate over the welfare of their patients?
But you know what this says to me? This says to me that these new young doctors are so indoctrinated now by the education that goes before they go to medical school that they don't sit in those lectures and say, no, hang on a minute. We're thinking people, we're clever people. This is nonsense.
Yeah, honestly.